Alright, welcome to the second episode of Christian Questions. I'm glad you could join us today. Today we have with us Vance, who, some quick background on him before we tell you what the question is. He went to Colorado Christian University with a major in biology and 2 minors, one in chemistry, the other in religion. He's currently a high school science teacher. He is the former director of group life at Discovery Church, and he did some church planting in Kyrgyzstan not too long ago. And then today's question is, if God is able to do anything, could he make a rock so heavy that he couldn't lift it, etc., etc.? Along the same question along those lines. So
this is a really tough question. Anthony gave me this question like a week ago, and I didn't realize what it was like until I started reading about it yesterday. As I read about it, I realized that there's this whole string of questions that are basically like, can God create a rock too heavy that he can't lift? Can he make a place that he can't go? Can he create an object too hot that he can't touch, etc.? What it basically comes down to is, can God put limits on himself? Is God all-powerful? One of the misconceptions about this thing called omnipotence, which is basically being all-powerful. A lot of people think that the Bible says that God is all-powerful. He has the power to do anything that he wants at any time, in any place, etc. The Bible, first of all, never says that God is omnipotent, meaning having unbounded power all over the place. The Bible actually says that there are certain things he can't do. One of those things being that God cannot lie. So that's a clear example of a limitation that God does not have. And when we think about this thing called omnipotence, we have to think about it in connection to God's character, like who God is. So as kind of an example for that, we can say, I am human. My character is to be human. As a human, as part of my human character, I can run. Now, just because as a human I can run doesn't mean that I can outrun a lion or a cheetah. The moment I can outrun a lion or a cheetah, I am no longer human because I have done something that is outside of my character. It's the same way with God. His omnipotence is bound within his character, and his character is to be good, loving, powerful, etc. And his character also never changes. The Bible says that God is the same today, tomorrow, forever, in the past, in the future, etc. God does not change. So if God's going to be consistent, that means that he can't do something that is going to contradict himself. You know, he can't create a place where God cannot go. He cannot create a rock that he cannot lift, because that would be making him contradict himself. Now he could say, I'm going to create a rock right now that is too big for me to lift, but then in the next second he would say, all right, I'm going to decide to lift that rock now, because God has no boundaries within our time and space. Like, he created this whole area, this whole thing that we call the universe. He put all the boundaries around it, and God himself has no boundaries. He has no limits. So anything that he would create, he could lift, he could move, he could go to, he could touch, whatever. So within our space, within our earth, there's no way God could create something that he could not move, because even if he tried a second later, he could say, oh, I'm going to move that. If you go out beyond it to the bigger question of, can God put limits on himself? Is God all-powerful? Yes, God is all-powerful, but it is bounded within his nature, which is not to contradict himself. So since God can't contradict himself, I would have to say the general answer would be, no, God cannot create a rock that he could not move, because that would be contradicting his nature of being all-powerful. So I hope that kind of sums things up and is clear enough for you guys.
Yeah, just awesome answer. Thanks to Vance for coming in, just kind of knocking that out. We were kind of interested in seeing how that would go. Thanks to whoever sent in the question. It was anonymous. Hope you agreed with it. Remember to send in your questions to christianquestions@yahoo.com, and then look for answers at www.youtube.com/christianquestions. Later.